Hey, what's up, my fellow golf ball addicts? I have another review for you today, and we are doing both offerings from Odin Golf. We have, of course, the X and the X1. Let's dive right in. Guys, as always, if you love honest golf reviews for average golfers, then I really appreciate you supporting the channel, liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff. It's free. We do have a membership that just starts at $1 a month, and it really helps the channel out. You can hit the join button below, unless you're an Apple user. For some reason, that's weird with iOS. It doesn't show up there. But regardless, so Odin Golf, definitely a lot of requests for this one. Even before I'd bought them, a lot of requests. Hadn't heard of them. Apparently, it's a brand newer company. They've only been in the market for a couple of years, and they have two different golf balls. They have, of course, your X1 and your X, which at first glance you would think, okay, just like any other golf ball company, you have your X model and you have your non-X model, which, is like tour balls, whether it's PXG, Titleist, Bridgestone, whatever. All golf ball companies do that, right? Well, not so fast. It's not actually that way. So you do have two offerings, but the Odin X, which I would assume would be the firmer, more tour advanced one, is not the case. This is actually a three-piece iometer golf ball that's really actually designed for slower swingers, which is kind of confusing. And I say it's confusing, especially for me, because even throughout the whole review process, having a golf ball called X and X1, I kept getting confused. I kept thinking like, okay, the X model, oh no wait, the X model is softer. And I'm like, oh, okay, it's the only golf ball I've ever seen in my 5 years of testing golf balls that the X model is just designed for more beginners and high flight and all that. And so it can get confusing, especially for consumers. I think a much better name would have been like calling this one, like the Odin Hemisphere and then the Odin Stratosphere or something, where they're just two separate names and they don't coincide with each other. X and X1 really confused me, and I think that if it confused me as much as it did, I think it'll confuse some of the general market as well. On the other end of that, you have the Odin X1, which is a three-piece urethane offering, which these golf balls do come at two way different price points. The Odin X being the cheaper one, iometer cover comes in at $22 a dozen, which for a three-piece iometer golf ball is actually really, really, really competitive. Almost too competitive and too good to be true, but we'll touch more on that later. This one, the Odin X1, comes in at $37.99, which is right in line with like your Vice balls. As far as being in that 20 to 30 range, it hits it. It's a great value, but there have been a couple golf balls this year that we've tested that have been $29.99 a dozen, and they've performed really, really, really well. So for being a little bit extra, it is going to have to perform just a little bit better for sure to be worth that extra $8. Now, I will give Odin some credit here. One thing they do is a cashback program where when you buy golf balls from them, you get 20% cash back that you can use to purchase more golf balls. That's something I don't see a lot of on the market that really should. I mean, there are companies out there that reward you for your loyalty, but the fact that Odin is just very transparent and forward about it. Hey, look, you buy golf ball, we give you money, you buy more golf ball. That's great. Like some of these companies are like, oh, if you buy a membership, you can blah, 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 and it gets confusing, and it's like, we don't want that. We just want to be able to go pick up some golf balls. A lot of you just like going to the grocery store and picking them up. So I think that's a genius marketing move by Odin. I haven't seen it a lot on the market, and bravo. So I love that. So two golf balls, one's $37.99, one's $22. They're both three-piece. The X model is for beginners. The X1's for your value tour ball. It's for intermediate to low handicappers, and it's designed to, from what their website says, rival the Pro V1, Chrome Soft, and TP5, but we know that's generic because the TP5, the Pro V1, and the Chrome Soft don't even play like each other. Like they're all totally separate golf balls. A Chrome Soft is softer and more springier. Pro V1 is more medium balanced. TP5's firm but has a lot of bendability. So they're all different. So I think that's just a generic, hey, this golf ball's supposed to be in that range. All right, let's get into the design of these Odin golf balls. Let's start with the X first, the cheaper one. You can see there it just says Odin, O-D-I-N. Has the number below it. It's the same font. It's very big, bold. It's very plain for the most part. I would have went with something a little more different or unique. And the reason I say that and I bring attention to it is because when you have a market like this in the $30 to $40 golf ball range, like I said, it is very congested. So you want to stand out any way you can. And so there's a lot of golf balls that do unique things. They'll have a really unique alignment tool, or they'll have just a really unique cursive logo. Vice's logo is by far my favorite in the industry, just with that cursive. that really helps you stand out, because like I said, because of that congestion, there's just so much competition. And so any little details you can add that really like keep in my mind or the consumer's mind, it really helps. And I just feel like that design's a little plain. They could improve on it. Looking on the side here at the alignment tool, you know, this is probably the worst alignment tool you can have. This isn't the only golf ball to have an alignment tool like this, but it's by far my least favorite. You know, I hate the arrow design. It's very difficult to see when you're lining up putts. If I hold it up here like this, it's hard to see from the camera. A lot of the time, I just did the Trust Bison series and I held it up, and I mean, it was like a beacon from space. You could see it, and I love that. I love being able to see your alignment tool. It helps with putts. Coming over, you know, I won't touch on it with the X1 because the X1's exactly the same. I mean, you come over and look, they don't differentiate the balls at all. They don't make them any different. It's the same logo. It's the same one. Looking on the side there, it's the same alignment tool. I'm not a real big fan of the design. Now, the only way these two golf balls are actually different is because this one's iometer and because this one's urethane. They are a little bit different in color. The urethane has a more grayish look to it, whereas this one's more of a bright white. That happens a lot of the time. So this one does look cheap and plasticky. If you look at it over, it looks and feels more cheapish and plastic, and, you know, like it came from Walmart. That's the generic term I use, more like a Walmart ball. But the thing is, it's only $22 a dozen, so of course it's going to look like that. But then if you look at the Odin X1, it looks premium. It has a premium dimple design. It has a really good coating of polyurethane around it. I mean, it feels like a premium golf ball. So it's night and day when it comes to that part, but I really wish they had put this Odin X1 apart from the rest of the crowd. Maybe give it a little color or pop or something, you know. But anyway, let's get out to the chipping and putting green and let's see how we do around there. All right, so we have the Odin X1 and the Odin X. Looking at them out here, not much difference, but let's go ahead and see what we can do with spin, feel. This right here first is the Odin X. Holy cow, okay. Tons of bouncy ball effect. I mean, it had a nice little firm click, a nice little press. The feel and sound were not bad at all, but boy, it just really shot off the club in a way that I did not expect it to. I mean, that barely took anything. I might actually have to just go to the putting more bump and run style here. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna have to do. Holy cow. A good amount of spin there. Let me go ahead and validate the parking. That was actually really good. It had a little bass effect. It jumped to the left. There we go. Oh, now that's crispy right there. It has a good amount of spin for sure. I mean, you can tell when it hits the green and it comes up, there's a lot of rotation on the ball. I would say right now I'm probably at the 75% meter. That's really good checkup. But again, I didn't expect that level of bouncy ball, just, I mean, absolute boing off the club. I mean, I had to like half my swing of what I normally do. So interesting there. Let's go ahead now and do the Odin. This is the X1. So this is, of course, the other model they make. Again, I'm going to go ahead and assume it's going to spring, so I'm going to do a little... not as much spin on that one. That one was a little lower. It didn't have that bouncy ball effect, and it really didn't have that rotation that I saw with the other one, so that's kind of interesting. Let's go ahead and validate the parking. I'm going to open the face a little bit. Yeah, no, not as strong as a rotation and not as strong of a bite for sure. This one's more medium. I would call it like right there at that 50%, maybe just under somewhere in there. You'll see the bar here in a second, so you'll know what I'm talking about if you're new to the channel. Yeah, I mean, just the feel and the sound are the same, but yeah, but the reactions are, okay, so no, that one was actually pretty decent. That was some really good spin, but you got to hit it really pure. It's not like the other one, the X, where I was just getting consistent. So let me go ahead and run these back. Let me validate the parking. All right, starting out with the X again, let's kind of get fun. Let's go ahead and try to hit one left. Let's see if we can get some left spin. A little bit, not bad. I didn't hit it perfect either. Let's go ahead and try to hit a nasty cut. That was pretty good, actually. That's probably one of the best flops I've had in a while. And now I'm just going to open the face and see if I can really get it to spin again. Good strike. Yeah, lots of bass effect. You should be able to see that on the camera too. It's really jumping a lot, which means that it's not very forgiving. You definitely want to make sure you have your face angle right, otherwise it is going to go left or right on you, so you got to be careful with that. I'm going to go ahead and now test the X1 again. I think the X1 is going to be more of your intermediate beginner. It doesn't have as much checkup, but that also kind of adds a little bit of forgiveness where if you do open the face a little too much, it's not going to jump all around on you. It's still going to have a pretty consistent go. So I'm going to go ahead and try to hit a nasty cut here. Got a little too much on it, not a lot of spin. I mean, I'll just be real with you, not a lot of checkup. I do think, like I said, this is the more forgiving. Now I'm just gonna try to get it in the hole. Low, no spin, but yeah, I mean, very accurate. So that's interesting there. Still maintains that feel. Oh, that one had some pretty good checkup. So that's the thing with the X1 is it's just inconsistent. If you hit it really perfectly square, it will have some bass effect, but otherwise it's pretty consistent and straight for the most part. All right, Odin X up first. We have, of course, our trusty mallet, more of a heavier, really weighted down, usually a softer, deadening feeling. Ooh, a nice little light tap. I like that sound. That was really nice. Came off the club really consistent, you know, not too fast, not too slow. Not bad at all. Let's go ahead and validate it here. Let's see. Ooh, again. Oh, wow. Really just clean roll. I love that little click for sound. It's just a little subtle, but I mean, it makes its presence known. I love that. I pulled that one because I'm terrible at putting. Yeah, no, it's really, that's really good. I mean, I like that sound a lot. I mean, usually with coming off of this, it's really usually a deadening sound, a deadening feeling. I don't feel much, I don't sense much. I'll admit I don't feel much in the hands, but as far as how it sounds and how it rolls off, it's very consistent, it's very nice. All right, X1, let's see if it's any different. A lot different. That's that deadening feeling. That's the very, very subtle, instead of a click, it's more like a, that's the difference there. Not as big of a sound of that. It feels okay. It feels really dead. There's not much feedback. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of, it rolls really consistent. I mean, the roll is true on both of these. 10 out of 10 roll. I love that. It just doesn't have enough feedback for me. Of course, if it keeps getting in the hole like that, I might change my mind. All right, so now we will try the old blade putter, so a lot thinner, not as heavy. This one should have more of a click sound for sure. Let's see the difference between the two clubs. Okay, came off a little hotter than I thought it would. You can definitely feel it now a little more. I'm not a super big fan, but I mean, it's all right, it's not bad. It still has a really great roll though. Again, really subtle with that click. I like it a lot. Yeah, no, not bad at all. I definitely like it with the mallet better. This one's like an 8 out of 10, but that other one was 10 out of 10. That was really nice. Yeah, not bad at all. Keep missing left, but no big deal. Yeah, I mean, overall not bad. Now let's test this one, the X1. Let's see, I might actually like it opposite. I might like this one better with the blade. And I do. Yeah, removing all that weight from the putter, and not only that, but just the size of it, it just makes a huge difference sometimes. That's why I always test both. Can definitely feel it. That's a good putt. Get in there. Oh. Yeah, still really good though. Both of these golf balls feel phenomenal. I love how they have a true roll. There's no bouncy ball effect. There's no chug effect. Even though I just can't seem to get one in the hole now. But yeah, I definitely like it with the mallet better, but they're both really great. So I think around the green, I'd be completely happy with like an 8 out of 10. I think that's a great score. It does really well, and I wasn't expecting that. All right, so when it comes to feel across all clubs with the golf ball, we have a really weird scenario here, okay? Let's start with the X1, which this is their $37.99 more premium offering. It has a very good feel to it. It feels exactly like a lot of value tour golf balls should. It has a bouncy ball effect. It's very easy to put down and hit and smile, and I mean, there's not a lot of stress that goes into it. Miss hits are very mild off the club, and there's actually a pretty decent amount of forgiveness there. It's a really good feeling golf ball, and it feels exactly how I would want a value tour golf ball to feel. I would say probably a 4 out of 5 as far as your, just natural feel. I would say probably a 4 out of 5 on your miss hit feel. It actually feels really good off miss hits. Forgiveness, 3 to 4, somewhere in that range. It's really good, especially for being more of a value tour ball. I've had zero issues with it. It feels phenomenal. Reviewing this golf ball was a breeze. It felt like it just went by so quick because I was able just to put it down, hit it, great numbers, put it down, hit it, great numbers, put it down. Oh, a little different, but okay. Then we move into the X, which is the cheaper, softer ball, which now I'm thinking, okay, so I tested the X1 first, so then I tested the X, and I got to thinking, okay, now I have a softer golf ball. So now this one might even feel a little more squishier, might have a little more forgiveness. It is, oh boy, how do I put this? the worst golf ball I've ever felt, and that's being nice. When I was hitting this golf ball, the first thing I noticed is it had a heaviness to it. Kind of like how the PXG did, right? The PXG Tour, I did that a couple videos ago. It had this heaviness to it. But the PXG, you would hit it and it would just, and even though it felt heavy, you could hear the, and you could feel the, and you just knew it was launching a mile. This one you hit and it feels heavy and it feels nasty in your hands. It's like an exaggerated feel of that. And then it's like the golf ball goes really slow and you have to kind of turn your head and just watch it. And then you turn to your buddies and you're like, where's that gonna go? And it's just so slow. It feels just like you're hitting in slow motion, and you can tell the ball's just not going very far. And that's on pure hits. That's on like pure center strikes. God forbid you mishit this golf ball. It's disgusting. I can't stand it. I just really can't. And the feel on this golf ball is so bad that I actually thought that this golf ball was going to be worse than it was. So when I was done with the review, I was packing up my stuff, I was coming inside, and I thought, I don't know of anything good I can say about this golf ball. I said the performance is going to be just abysmal, the feeling's awful, I don't like this. I thought really it was going to be one of the worst golf balls I'd ever tested. Now once I got inside, I realized the numbers weren't so bad. You'll see them in just a second. But that's how bad the feel was. It changed my whole attitude about the golf ball. I couldn't stand it. I was ready to chuck it in the woods. It was just so abysmal. There's just no way, spoiler alert, there's just no way I could ever recommend this golf ball because of the feel alone. Even if it was getting an extra 5 yards a club, I just couldn't do it. There's no way I could hit it. I had to take a shower after I was done. I felt disgusting after I hit it. And again, I don't mean to exacerbate it, but like it really is that bad. And another thing you notice is that when I was going through Odin's website, you can tell that the X model really is the little brother or the stepchild, however you want to say it. Because everything on there is tailored toward the X1. You go to, a Why Us page, and everything is, all the professional reviews are on the X1, and all the user reviews are on the X1, and all their advertisements are about the X1. You almost don't see the X on there at all, and the X at current moment is sold out. And so I don't know if they're planning to get it back in. I think it's obvious. I've done this enough to be able to tell when a golf ball fails and a company's trying to push it out. That seems like that's what's happening here. So we're going to go ahead and do the numbers. We're going to do them side by side. The one on the left is going to be the X1, $37.99, their premium urethane golf ball. The number on the right is going to be the X model golf ball, the one that I won't be recommending. But we're going to go ahead and do that just to compare them, even though they're not, originally when I was doing this review, the reason I did them together is because I thought they were an X and an X model, like a Pro and an X model, and so I thought I was going to do that. I didn't realize I probably would have done them separately in hindsight if I'd realized that they were just completely separate, but the name fooled me, you know what I mean? I just expected the same thing I've gotten from the other 140 golf balls I've tested, so that's on me. All right, let's go ahead and get into the 50-yard pitch. Let's go ahead and look at the backspin and RPM. Now, the regular Odin, we'll just call the Odin, and the Odin X the X for, because it can get confusing. But the regular Odin got 7,471, and the Odin X got 5,523, which is abysmally low, abysmally. The Odin actually is above my average, so that's actually really good there. What I noticed is that when I was hitting the Odin, it just was really good. I mean, it felt really crisp, buttery, smooth, and I was getting that spin consistently. 2 thumbs up. I mean, 2 thumbs up, really good. The Odin X, on the other hand, what the heck, man? Like, first of all, a 3-piece iometer, I get more spin with a lot of 2-piece golf balls. Like, that 5,523 is what I would expect from a really bad performing 2-piece golf ball. And the other weird thing about the X, the highest launch I've ever seen with a wedge. I mean, 37 launch angle, 35 launch angle. So what this golf ball is trying to do is, in order to compensate for not having spin, it just launches really freaking high and hopes that it can just land on the green because it's basically coming down at a straight point, which... Is that a bad thing? No. If it's a cheap 2-piece golf ball, then I don't mind that. But for a value 3-piece, I expect it to spin. I don't want it to launch really freaking high in the air, and that kind of made me worry about the following clubs I was hitting. So let's get into the 9-iron. 1.35 on your smash factor with the Odin, 1.30 smash factor with the X, so I mean just night and day. 147.3 with the Odin, 137.7 with the Odin X, 10-yard difference. I mean, that's huge. 147.8, 138.4, 109.8, and 104.1. I mean, that's a 5.5 mile an hour difference. Hilarious that the spin is exactly the same, 6,455. I couldn't do that again if I tried. And then 22.5 on the launch angle, which is mid, and then 23.2, it wanted to launch a little high. So, you know, all that makes sense for the most part, but what I was really surprised with is that the X golf ball had such a low amount of distance. The last time I got this low of a number with the 9-iron as far as distance was when I reviewed the Nitro golf ball, and that was a bit, I mean, that was the terrible golf ball. You know, that was one of the worst ones we've tested. So really not good distance there. You have one golf ball that is really, really good. I mean, we're off to a great start, and then we have one golf ball that already I can tell just isn't going to make it. Let's get into the 7 smash factor. 1.43 compared to 1.41, 172 compared to 167, so about a 5-yard difference. 173.4, 168.3, 121.4, 118.6, 5746, 5729. So again, like right on the dot with spin. They're very, very similar. And then the Odin wanted to launch really low at 16.6, and the Odin X wanted to launch at kind of mid 17.3. So, and this is where I was really confused, right? I talked about it earlier, but when I was hitting the 7-iron, the feel was so disgusting. I thought it was going to be like 140, 150 on the yardage. When I came in, I was shocked to see that number. Now, granted, I always hit 15 shots and I take away the 5 worst ones. The 5 I took away with the X were like 126, 130, 135, because they were slight mishits. And the golf ball has zero forgiveness. I mean, it punishes you so hard on mishits. So because I hit 10 decent shots with it, it got away with it, but that number could have been a lot lower if I just had a little bit of an off day. So interesting to kind of keep that in mind. 5 hybrid, we're looking at 1.43 compared to 1.40, 190.9 compared to 180.7, another 10-yard difference, 193.8, 182.7, 130.1, 125.1, that's a 5 mile an hour difference, 4,976, which is mid-spin, that's actually perfect for a hybrid, and 5,329, which is probably a little too much spin considering it's not getting quite the ball mile per hour speed, 14, which is kind of a low mid compared to 16.5, which is really, really high. The Odin is doing a lot of tour-like ball things. You know what I mean? It's really trying to, launch kind of that low mid. It has a lot of ball speed, has a good healthy amount of spin. I love what I'm seeing from the Odin right now. It's very consistent. And that's awesome. It's very consistent in its yardages. It's very consistent on its forgiveness. It's very consistent on its accuracy. It's doing so many great things. And then I have to go down and read these X numbers to you, and I just almost feel bad. I feel like I'm robbing you guys, and I'm so sorry about that. But no, all jokes aside, the Odin X really does feel like it's trying to be a 2-piece golf ball. I don't understand that. Why make a 3-piece if you're wanting it to be a 2-piece? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It wants to just launch high, but it has a decent amount of spin. But the distance numbers are abysmal, and so I don't know. When I think of a value ball, I think of something with not a lot of side spin. I think of something that intermediate and high handicappers can put down, hit, it rockets off the club, goes nice and straight, gives them really good forgiveness. Golf balls like Pinnacle Rush and golf balls like Snell Gets Some and all these, that have been at the top of our list, Precept Laddie. That's what I want to see out of a value ball. I feel like Odin's trying to be outside the box with their X, but sometimes when you try to go outside the box, sometimes you can be really successful and be a forward thinker, or sometimes you can be the guy with the tinfoil hat and everyone just thinks you're crazy, and so it can go both ways. Getting into the driver, 1.44 on your smash factor on both of them, really good. 230.4 and 230, 239.5, 239.3, 145.3, 143.4, 26.28 on your spin with the Odin, and then look at that, 23.59 with the Odin X. That's actually really low spin, and then then 13.7 on your launch angle, and then 14.9. Boy, I wish I could take those two numbers and flop them on the launch angle. I wish I could have got 14.9 with the Odin, because then I would have got probably 240 carry. So I really wish I could have flipped those around. But again, the Odin is going to launch low. It's more of a tour ball. They do that. I've come to make peace with it. But as a guy who kind of has trouble hitting the ball low anyway, I wish it had a little higher launch. The problem with the X is that it had that lesser ball speed, but because the launch was higher, it just ended up right there in line with the Odin. But I also don't mind it. I'm going to get a ton of rollout with the regular Odin, so I'm not too worried about it. Really good ball speed. Both of those clubs performed great. I mean, I got to give the X some credit. I haven't given it any credit so far, rightfully so. But on the driver, it was consistent. It was good. Really good numbers, so I appreciate that. So let's get into durability real quick, then I'll give you my final thoughts. Let's start with just the regular Odin, the X1. You know, it looks really good, and for being a urethane golf ball at the price point of $37.99, this is what I would expect. It didn't blow me away. You can see some scuffs there. You can see some sandpapering effect. There's a couple deep cuts, but they're not super deep. They're just only in the outer layer. I don't know if I'd feel super confident with putting this anymore, but this is after, 90 shots, so I would give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's a good durability golf ball. It gets the job done for sure. Now moving into the X model, not quite as good here. There's a couple things I want to talk about. The first one is, when I was shipped the balls, when I pulled them out of the sleeve, there was already defects. Like, I looked at the ball and already saw some scuffing and some abrasions and like some, I don't know what you'd call them, like scars. I mean, like you could peel them off. Like there was almost like no quality control when they came out. Now I don't know if I just got a bad batch or what, but immediately I was like, these look like they've been hit. And so that was kind of interesting. I didn't really care for that. And then now after using it for 70 shots, or 80 shots, excuse me, you can see that there's a lot of scuffing here. There's some sandpaper effect. It feels rough to the touch. It feels inconsistent. And really, I don't know that I would trust putting this golf ball anymore at all. I would have to chuck it probably after 3/4 of a round. So because of the value, it kind of helps with that, but it's a 6 out of 10. It's not a very good durability. I wish it had been just a little bit better. Okay, so final thoughts, who are the golf balls for? Do I recommend them? Let's get this out of the way. I think you guys have seen enough of the X to know that I think it was just a swing and a miss. I hope Odin does redo it. I hope they come out with a rebrand of it, and I hope they take some of what we've talked about here to heart. Change the design a little bit. Make it more straighter. Don't worry about making a 3-piece value ball. Worry about making a high handicap, straight, soft, explosive, forgiving. And I think you'll be a lot more successful, because on the other end of that, the Odin X1, or just the Odin, whatever you want to call it, it's a pretty darn good golf ball. Now the problem is, being at $37.99, that price point's dangerously close to Vice. Vice will always have our heart, at least for season 4, because those golf balls were phenomenal. However, the 20% cashback is a really good offer. I mean, it really is. It's genius marketing. And so I think some of you would look at that and go, well, 20% off, that'd be like basically $7 back. So it's only $30 a dozen. And as long as you like them, you can just keep buying them. And so, yes, I think that overall, this is a good enough value to where it could steer some people that direction. It ends up being more closer to the Legato, the Wright and Ditson, some of that $29.99 stuff we see. So the value's there, the performance is there. And what I really like about the Odin is that, no, there was no records broken. We've seen so many records get broken, and I talked about it in a video where we're just tired of it. We get it, like my swing speed's getting better, and so we're seeing all these broken records, and that's cool to get the distance. But what I love about what the Odin did is it was consistent. It had consistent distance. The gapping was great. The forgiveness was awesome. The disparity was low. It was extremely easy to pick up and hit. You put it down, you hit it easy. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of golfers really need, especially average Joes like us. That's what they need. And I was super impressed by what Odin has done here. They've come out with a golf ball that already in the market does its job, and now all you can do is make improvements on it. Now all you got to do is focus on those details. I think you've got a great ball here. I do recommend it to people. It's definitely worth a try, especially if you end up liking them, getting that 20% buyback program. It's cool, but I want to see some changes. I want to see a little bit better of a design. I want to see a better alignment tool. Yes, I know you can make your own alignment tool. I know you can put stickers, but hey, I'm just being real. You got to change little details here and there, because there's so much congestion in this market. When people go look for a value tour golf ball, they come up with 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 results now. It gets more and more every day, and so you want to stand out. So do something on your ball to kind of stand out. That would be really good. And then, yeah, keep all the performance metrics. It's really, really good. I like what you've done there. Guys, as always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Until next time, I appreciate you all. See you soon.